Hey everybody. Welcome in. We're happy to have you watching or tuning in right now or later or whenever. We want to welcome you. This is going to be our first Funhouse Friday Facebook Live here at Funhouse Studios on Music Row. I'm Heather Norman. This is ERNIE ROWELL. And today we just wanted to come to you and talk to you a little about who we are, what we do in Nashville, about our studio here in Nashville, Tennessee, the music business, recording, all that kind of good stuff.
Exactly. Just informative talk and maybe answer some questions if you have it, and just talk about the recording business in Nashville and some of the pitfalls people run into as they try to approach such a thing, because a lot of people want to record. They're just a little bit shy of all the inner workings. So we want to try to straighten out some of that, clear up some of the cobwebs, so to speak, of confusion that people might have, answer and inform people on the ideas or questions that they do have about the music industry and the recording in particular.
Yeah, we want to help you. So that's what we're here for. So again, if you have questions or comments, let us know. We'd be happy to address those. Let's talk a little bit, first of all, about who we are and about the studio and how we got here. So ERNIE and I have owned Funhouse Studios for the last 10 years. We are in the heart of Music Row, so if any of you have ever been to Nashville or you've ever read about Nashville and Music Row, actually I think the iconic street that everybody thinks about is 16th Avenue.
Yeah, 16th and 17th, 18th and 19th are also have housed a lot of different recording and music publishing houses for a long time. The landscape's changing around Nashville, and particularly in the Music Row area. We've lost a lot of historical buildings to condos and apartments and other office buildings being built, and so it's quite different than it used to be, yet we still stand right in the heart of it, right on the corner of 18th and Roy Acuff Place. We're just one house away from that corner, and Nashville Songwriters, or National Songwriters Association International, located right there. We're directly behind the Word building, and only a block away from the RCA Studio B, 2 blocks away from the old Columbia Studios, the Quonset Hut as it was called early on.
Yeah, so as ERNIE said, you know, we're super happy and proud to still be here in Nashville on Music Row, because it has changed so much. You know, back in the 70s and the 80s, pretty much going down 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th Avenue, every building was a recording studio or a publishing company or a entertainment law group or management,
whatever,
all kinds. So to still be here in 2017 on Music Row is pretty fantastic, and we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's been changing an awful lot. A lot of consolidation with bigger companies buying up the smaller ones and making bigger companies even larger, and which has really taken a lot of the personal touch away from the industry, and that's what we hope to bring back. Yeah,
and continue. We know there's a lot of people out there that still want the Nashville experience. They want the Nashville recording experience, and that's the question and the comment we get time after time of people that come through these doors and record. They're like, wow, this is amazing. There's nothing like being in an actual studio on Music Row with Nashville musicians making music come to life. It's, you know, it's an experience like no other. So to be able to still kind of preserve that, you know, we have RCA Studio right up the street, and, you know, to still have that here is amazing as well. So we're super excited and proud and want to just kind of share, you know, this experience with you as well and kind of let you know what we do. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about ERNIE. So ERNIE has been in Nashville since the 70s. So he's been here quite a while, and he has...
I was 2 years old when I
was going to say, he just turned 40, so I don't know how that's possible. But...
No.
But anyway, he's been here a really long time, and ERNIE has been involved in every capacity of the music industry and the music business you could possibly be in. So first and foremost, he's a musician. He came to Nashville to be a musician and a singer and songwriter, and he was lucky enough and fortunate enough to be the bass player and a band member and a band leader for a number of legendary country music artists, including George Jones, Ray Price, Mel Tillis, Melba Montgomery. So the list goes on and on. Besides that, Ernie's a songwriter and a singer himself. He has some fantastic CDs that he's recorded and released. He's written songs that have been recorded by Kenny Rogers and George Jones and
Gene Watson.
So the list goes on and on. He also is very knowledgeable about not just songwriting and singing and playing, but the actual like publishing side of songwriting. So he has a publishing company that he runs and manages. He's been a professor at Belmont and taught music publishing to students at Belmont. So his credentials and experience in this industry and this business to me are unmatched. To have that kind of breadth of knowledge and experience in every facet is amazing. So when Ernie and I got into the studio business together in 2007, it was just kind of a natural progression for Ernie, I think. He was able to take his knowledge and experience of all of those different facets of the music business and put it into the studio, to which he now has also become a producer and produced a ton of projects on artists that we've had come through here. So kind of tell him too a little bit about what you kind of do with artists that call and come in and want to record.
Well, I think the first thing is it's all about the song first and foremost. You got to have great songs to record, and I've been writing and publishing music in Nashville for a number of years, as Heather said. Before that, even after I worked the road for a long time, I worked in Mel Tillis's publishing company, running it for about 4.5 years, and I gained some great experience there in running a major independent, if you'll allow that term, with Mel, and trying to get songs recorded, demoing, learning more about production. Mel had a studio here, which has since been torn down. The building has, and it's been moved. But he had a studio, and that afforded us an opportunity to record an awful lot with our writers, both demos and projects on some of the writers as well. And so we were very fortunate to get some songs recorded and be a success with that publishing company. Mel concentrated most of his efforts into Branson about that time and wound up selling the publishing company to a larger BMG, actually, is who bought it. But anyway, so that experience gave me an opportunity to really get in the studio, and I really loved what I was doing there. And I kind of transferred that knowledge and desire to continue over to Funhouse, and actually met Heather and her family through her sister, Holly, who's kind of hosting this for us. She's behind the camera and doing a great job. Holly's a great artist herself, and I've produced several projects on her, including one that I think is super good. It's a bluegrass tribute to Elvis called Taking Care of Bluegrass. Check that out, folks, if you hadn't seen it. A great project. But anyway, so that's how I got to know the Norman family and Holly and Heather, and we decided to actually extend the building, and their father, Mr. Tony, I'm sure he's watching, was instrumental in helping us build the extension on that we're actually sitting in right now in Studio B here at Funhouse. But anyway, back to the music business itself. I've really enjoyed watching the process of songs develop from the beginning to finishing the song, to demoing the song, to pitching the song to artists. And that's where it all begins, is with the song, as they've said many years here in Nashville. And those songwriters are so important. So if you're someone who wants to record, if you write songs, that's great. If your songs are commercial, I'll be glad to try to help you decipher whether your songs are commercial. A lot of times we'll record songs on someone that may not be the most commercial songs, but they add to the package, letting them do a few of their songs with others that we might find and place with that artist that fits them. So that's what it's all about, is finding the right match of songs for the person who wants to record, match that with great musicians that know how to play the style that they were wanting to record. And I have a great bit of experience with the musicians here in Nashville, so that I can tap that and call in the great musicians to record. And So we'd like to use that and that experience. You're welcome to use that experience to do your project, and we'll help you any way we can.
So as you can see, Ernie has a ton of knowledge and experience, and that's what we're going to hopefully share with you over the course of this Funhouse Fridays that we're going to be doing. My background and experience is a little bit different than Ernie's. I have a degree in broadcasting as well as public relations. So before moving to Nashville and starting the studio business 10 years ago, I mostly spent my time in TV and radio. So I did some radio sales in Knoxville. I did some radio promotions there. I worked at a couple of big companies doing their marketing and their public relations. I spent a number of years on television as an on-air host. Doing that, and then made the move to Nashville. So music's always been a big passion of mine. It's been something that's been a constant in my family and my upbringing. My grandfather, Bill Norman, was a musician. He was a fiddle player and actually a close personal friend of Roy Acuff's and a bandmate of his. So that love and passion for music kind of transcended to my sister and I. And I've always wanted to be in Nashville and be in the music business in some capacity. So getting to be here and work at the studio and run it is like a dream come true for me. And having a sister, as Ernie said, Holly, that is a singer and songwriter. She's sort of the creative side and I like the business side. So it was kind of a good match for us to come to Nashville together. And in the past 10 years with the studio, I've been able to really immerse myself in the music industry and business with her and her career. So I've had an opportunity to dabble in, radio promotions with her, graphic design, marketing, image, branding. So that's kind of my forte and what I enjoy. So Ernie's definitely the creative side. He's the one that knows music and knows singing and songwriting, and I like the kind of other side of it, the behind the scenes and the marketing and the branding and the image and all of that. So hopefully between the two of us, we can kind of bring you a lot of good information about Nashville and recording. And that's kind of what we want to do. So going back to that, kind of letting you know what this series is going to be about, what we're going to be talking about. Let's kind of touch on some of those things. So for instance, I know there's a lot of you out there that might have never recorded. You might have always wanted to record. You might have a little box of songs you kind of put away and thought, I'm never gonna, be able to do anything with these. And we want to help you do that. The thing about Nashville, I think, is, especially nowadays, is the music business has always been a challenge, but even so, more so nowadays. And as far as recording, it's expensive. And it can be very expensive, but that's one of the things Ernie and I want to try to do, and we pride ourselves on, is I like what Ernie always says to artists that come in. He says, we are absolutely transparent here. So when you come to record with us, we are going to lay out directly for you every penny, like what you're going to spend, what it's going to cost, what it's going to take, where it's going to go. So when you come to us and ask to do a project, whether it be one song or an entire album of 10 or 12 songs, we're never going to just tell you, oh, well, that'll be a round figure. That'll be $30,000 or $50,000. And then you never know where that money went or where that money was, spent. We're always going to lay it out, tell you exactly, so you know right from the get-go what you're going to be spending and what you're getting into. So talk a little bit about kind of like how the process works.
Yeah, recording is expensive, not overly expensive when you really break it down into who gets paid what. And as Heather said, we do give you a very clear picture of where the money is spent. So you know what the studio makes, you know what the musicians make, the background singers, the engineer, the production. If I'm producing your product, you'll know exactly how much you're spending. In advance, as close as we can get estimated, we can tell you almost down to the dollar how much it's going to cost. And we can do one song or we can do a whole album. So keep that in mind as well. We're very flexible in what we do and in the way we can record. Musicians are wonderful here in Nashville. I wanted to talk just a little bit about that and how talented they are and able to do many different genres of music, and they do it quite frequently every day. So, I mean, we have access to all those great guys.
Right.
They're good friends and are willing and ready to work for us here at Funhouse.
Yeah, and that's the, I think, the most heartbreaking, saddest thing, because when you come to Nashville to be an artist or a songwriter or a singer, it's like this huge dream you've had your entire life. And so to come here and have, that dream crushed by being swindled or, paying an exorbitant amount of money that you didn't have to or didn't need to pay is really heartbreaking. And I know when Holly and I moved here and she really wanted to pursue a career, that was one of our biggest concerns is, how are we going to know, who's honest, who's not, and that was the great thing about meeting Ernie, is because we had mutual friends, and so we knew we could trust him and trust his knowledge and his experience, but that's not the case for everybody. So that's kind of who we want to be and what we want to be for you. Because we've heard story after story. We just had a girl recently come do a project with us, and, when Ernie put together the figures for her and told her how much it would cost, she was like stunned, because she had previously done a project with another producer and studio in town that was like, what, three times as much. And so she was just kind of like, deflated that here she had spent all that money and stuff and didn't have to. So that is the one thing we really want to help you do. We want you to be able to maximize your money and your opportunity if you want to record. And, nowadays you hear a lot of people talk about home recording studios, and there's not a lot of studios left. I think Ernie and I are one of, 3 studios right here on Music Row left?
I'm not sure exactly how many there are, but the studios have dwindled here with the construction that's gone on, and
home studios are great. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but home studios, a lot of times you're getting, maybe one person that's playing all of the instruments for the project, or you're getting a kind of band in the box type tracks and project. And to me, there's nothing like an actual studio experience. Having, top quality musicians like Ernie was saying, and that's the fantastic thing again about Ernie's knowledge and experience in this business. He has a Rolodex of the top musicians in Nashville, and I'm not just talking about like, anybody. I'm talking about people that play for George Strait and Reba McEntire and Garth Brooks and Alan Jackson and Brad Paisley. So like your big names, they are coming in here to Funhouse to play on your project if you want. So you're getting quality musicians that really know the music and really know how to play in a studio, because it's different. It's different than just being a live musician and being a studio musician. But having them in here and the creativity that flows once you get a variety of musicians that can play off of each other and bounce ideas and thoughts off of each other and really bring your song to life, there's nothing like it.
It's magic. It really is. And it's very exciting. There's 2 other things that I'd like to mention about live recording in the studio. One is that a lot of studios don't have a full-size grand piano, and electronic pianos are great, and a lot of people can't tell a lot of difference because there's some great sounds out there on electronic pianos. But having that full grand piano that we have is a wonderful sound, and a full set of drums as well. So those 2 things are really important and will, I think, make your project stand out above the ones that are done in some of the home studios, and particularly those that are, built, I'll call them constructed tracks by one person. So, and by the way, we will take questions from anyone who, I don't know if we have time today, but Holly, how are we doing back there?
Doing good.
Okay, we're doing good. If there are questions, though, that people have, we'll be glad to answer them. One other thing that I do have a pretty good knowledge of is music publishing, copyright,
Yes.
and the songwriting side of it, as far as how you get paid, who pays you, who's responsible for mechanicals, who's responsible for broadcast royalties, and so I can answer a lot of questions like that.
And that kind of leads us into the whole, like, that I wanted to make sure you know about, like, consultations. So if you've ever thought about recording, but you're like in Australia or New York or California or Canada, and you're like, I have no idea how to even start. I don't know if I have the right songs. I don't know if my songs are good enough. I don't, know how to get musicians or a producer, an engineer. I have no idea. Ernie is fantastic at talking with you, consulting with you, and he will absolutely take the time to do that.
Yeah, any questions you have like that, we can do through email, we can do through Messenger, we can do through any of the social media things out there that are available to us. We'll utilize to answer your questions and make myself available to you as best I can. Certainly sitting down or talking on the phone may be a little bit easier to get to the heart of the question, but most anything that we can answer for you, we're certainly glad to do that.
Yeah, and being in Nashville, if you're a singer and you've always wanted to do a project but you don't write, we have an opportunity to help you find songs, help you get songs. So that's another possibility for you. But as Ernie said, the studio here, we have, just to let you know, and next week I think we're going to try to take you on a tour. We were going to try to do that today. However, we actually had a last minute booking in our A room. So we've got some people in there recording and working today. But we have a full tracking room, and then we have an overdub room as well. So pretty much whatever your needs are recording wise, we have. And I also want to let you know that even if you're not able to watch right now or comment or send us a question, if you're watching this later, go ahead and comment, send your question. We'll be looking for those. We'll try to answer all of those. And that's kind of what we encourage you to do. So with this series, we're going to kind of come up with different specific topics each week to talk about, recording wise and music wise, but we do want your input. So if you have a question you've always wanted to know or something you want to hear about, definitely send that our way. You can comment on our Facebook, of course. Send us a message there. You can email us at funhousestudios@yahoo.com. Of course, we have a website. We have funhousestudios.com. Ernie, if you'd like to find out more about his background and his producing, his projects, all that kind of stuff, you can go to ERNIEROWELL.com. But yeah, we definitely encourage you to reach out to us. We want to hear from you. We want to help you. We want to make the recording process easy, painless, transparent as we can possibly do.
Amen. Those are all very good points. I just echo all that the same way that Heather's saying, and don't hesitate to ask your questions, and no question is a dumb question.
Nope.
If you don't know the answer, don't worry about that. No matter how simple or how complex, we'll try our best to dissect it and answer that. So just let us know what you want to know, and we'll do our best to answer.
Yeah, and this is a brand new series. As I said, this is our very first Facebook Live for our Funhouse Fridays. So if you would, please like, share, comment on this video. We're also going to put these up on YouTube as well. But we definitely want your participation, so we'd appreciate you doing that.
That'll make it.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. We appreciate the support. And we'll see you again next week.
Hope to see you at Funhouse Studios soon.
Yeah, come see us. We'll give you a tour. We'll take you on a tour of Music Row.